All right, folks, welcome back to the New Sentinel. I'm Chuck Johnson, and today we're diving headfirst into a real powder keg, how the Supreme Court's next move could shake up immigration policy, private prisons, and heck, even the very idea of civil rights in this country. Now, I know some of y'all might be thinking, Chuck, how can one court decision do all that? Well, let me tell you, when the highest court in the land weighs in, the ripple effects can hit just about every corner of our system. We're talking about the GEO Group here, one of the big dogs in private detention. If the court rules against them, it could open the floodgates for lawsuits, new regulations, and a whole lot of folks rethinking whether public-private detention partnerships are worth the trouble. Now, this ain't the first time I've seen a legal ruling flip the script for everyone involved. Back in my Army days, let's see, I think it was 97 or maybe 98, I always get those years mixed up. We had a case where a single court decision changed the rules for all military contractors overnight. Suddenly, what was allowed on Monday was out of bounds by Friday. It made me wonder, where do we draw the line between private authority and public responsibility? When you hand over government work to private hands, who's really in charge? And what happens when the rules change mid-game? So as we look at this Supreme Court showdown, keep in mind, this ain't just about one company or one contract. It's about the boundaries of power, the future of detention in America, and whether we're ready for the reforms that might come knocking if the court swings the other way. Now let's talk about the GEO Group itself. These folks have been running private detention centers for years. Got a whole lot of experience, no doubt about it. But with that experience comes a mountain of allegations. We're talking about claims of abuse, coercion, and all sorts of ugly headlines. And yet, they've got some of the strongest legal teams and lobbyists money can buy. There's a reason their contracts keep getting renewed, even when the public's out there protesting for profit incarceration. But here's the thing. Public backlash is real, and it's getting louder. Investors are getting nervous, and lawmakers are starting to push for bans on private immigration detention. I mean, just look at the legislative efforts cropping up all over the place. And don't forget, the international community's watching too. Human rights groups are raising red flags, and that kind of scrutiny can make even the biggest players sweat. I remember a case not too long ago, can't recall the exact year, but it was after I retired, where a state tried to ban private immigration detention outright. The GEO Group fought back hard, but the public pressure was relentless. Investors started asking tough questions, and suddenly, the company's next moves weren't just about profit. They were about survival. It's a classic case of power meeting pressure, and the outcome could set the tone for every other private detention operator in the country. Now let's get into the legal nitty-gritty. There's this MOST analysis, mission, objectives, strategies, tactics, being used to break down the fight over labor practices in private detention. The mission? Figure out if what GEO's doing is even legal under federal and state law, especially when it comes to labor. Are they crossing the line with the Trafficking Victims Protection Act? Are detainees being forced to work under threat of punishment? These are big questions, and the answers could set precedent for years to come. The objectives are pretty clear. Clarify what rights civil detainees actually have, see if there have been violations of the TVPA, and if so, make sure it doesn't happen again. Both sides are gearing up, filing amicus briefs, rallying advocacy groups, and using the media to sway public opinion. It's a full court press, and the stakes couldn't be higher. You know, this all reminds me of a time I had to go to bat for my own guys during a contract dispute on base. We had a situation where the contractor was cutting corners, and it was the soldiers who paid the price. I had to stand up, make some noise, and fight for their rights, even when it wasn't the popular thing to do. It makes you think, who's really looking out for the folks caught in the middle of these big institutions? Is it the courts, the lawmakers, or the people on the ground willing to speak up? All right, that's all I've got for y'all today. The Supreme Court's decision could change everything, and you can bet we'll be keeping a close eye on what happens next. Thanks for tuning in to the New Sentinel. We'll be back soon with more deep dives and, well, probably a few more of my old Army stories. Stay sharp, stay informed, and God bless America.